All right, so Scrintal for your Zettelkasten, huh? But that whole no trial thing has you wondering if it's worth the gamble.
It's natural to be hesitant, for sure. Nobody
Maybe.
wants to end up with another subscription they never use.
Exactly. But hey, that's what we're here for, right? Today's deep dive is all about giving you the lowdown on Scrintal.
We'll be your guinea pigs, so to speak. We're diving into real user experiences. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Scrintal promises a lot, but do they deliver? Let's find out.
We've got a smorgasbord of sources for you today. We'll be peeking into the Reddit trenches, Scrintal's own marketing spiel, and even some insights from productivity wizards like Xiaomi and researcher Annette Raffan. But first, let's start with the brutally honest world of Reddit, shall we? Specifically, the r/Zettelkasten community.
Always a good place to start.
Right. And one user, French Presso, I love that username, brought up a concern that's close to my heart. Exportability.
Ah, yes. The digital equivalent of making sure you have an exit strategy.
For real, it's like that nightmare where you're trying to leave a place, but you can't find the door.
Except in this case, the door is your data, all those precious notes and connections you've built in Scrintal.
Exactly. And French Presso basically said they're worried about pouring their heart and soul into Scrintal, only to be stuck if they ever need to switch to a different platform. Can you imagine all those carefully crafted notes gone?
It's a valid fear, for sure. It really underscores the importance of data portability, especially when we're talking about something as personal as a Zettelkasten.
It's like who actually owns your knowledge?
Precisely. And it gets even more interesting. Apparently, Scrintal recently added an export feature.
Oh. So problem solved.
Well, not so fast. According to another user in the thread, it's still a bit. Let's just say it needs work.
Oh no. What kind of needs work?
Like, imagine hiring movers who promise to take care of everything but then show up without a truck.
Oh no. That's not good.
Attachments going missing, images vanishing into thin air. Not exactly the smooth transition you'd hope for.
So much for a seamless transition.
It definitely makes you wonder if Scrintal is all it's cracked up to be, you know? Especially when their website is like this shiny brochure full of promises about visual thinking and structured knowledge.
Or like, look at this beautiful digital utopia we've created.
But can you actually take your utopia with you if you decide to move? That's the million-dollar question.
All right, so we've got Redditors worried about data jailbreak. This is already getting juicy. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about Scrintal's own marketing for a second.
Their website is practically bursting at the seams with testimonials and glowing reviews, isn't it?
It's like they rounded up every researcher, student, and engineer who's ever used Scrintal and said, tell us how much you love us.
It's a classic case of social proof, for sure. Everyone's doing it, so you should too.
Exactly. But we're not going to be swayed by fancy marketing speak, are we? We want the real deal, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. Because what works for a team of engineers collaborating on a complex project might not be the best fit for, say, a writer crafting a novel.
100%. And that's where we're diving into the trenches of individual user experiences next. We want to know what people are really saying when they're not trying to sell you something.
The unfiltered truth.
Exactly. So are you ready to trade the marketing loss for some real-world user insights?
Oh, absolutely. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Okay, so first up on our user experience tour is Xiaomi. Productivity guru, Zettelkasten enthusiast, you know the type.
Definitely someone worth listening to.
Right. And Shu seems pretty smitten with Scrintal, especially this My Desk feature they've got.
My desk. Tell me more.
It's like, imagine having a virtual desktop, but instead of just files, you've got your notes laid out like digital sticky notes.
Ah, so no more IRL desk covered in sticky notes then.
Exactly. She was raving about how you can drag and drop notes, create separate boards for different projects.
Sounds like my kind of organized chaos. But does it work? I mean, really work?
That seems to be the thing with Scrintal, right? It's got these great ideas, but then some things are, let's just say, a work in progress, like backlinks, for instance.
Ah, yes. Backlinks. The glue that holds a Zettelkasten together.
Exactly. And according to Shu, Scrintal's backlinks are a bit basic right now. They're there, but they don't give you the full context.
So you can see the connections, but you don't know why those notes are linked.
Pretty much. And that's a shame, because for me, those aha moments, those unexpected connections, those are kind of the whole point of a Zettelkasten.
It's like the difference between looking at a map and actually walking the path. The map shows you the way, but the journey, that's where the real insights happen.
100%. And speaking of missing pieces, Shu also pointed out the lack of Readwise integration.
Readwise. For anyone who devours information like it's oxygen, I feel their pain. It's a game changer.
Tell me about it. Being able to pull highlights from articles, books, all that directly into your notes, it's magical. But alas, Scrintal hasn't jumped on that train yet.
A missed opportunity, for sure. Especially for a tool that's all about connecting ideas. But hey, maybe they'll surprise us in a future update.
Fingers crossed. But for now, let's shift gears to our final source. Researcher Annette Raffan, she's got a different perspective.
Oh, tell me more.
So Annette used Scrintal specifically for structuring a literature review, which I know can be a beast to wrangle.
A beast indeed. I've steered down my fair share of literature reviews. They can feel like falling down a rabbit hole. The connections are just endless.
Right. But get this, Annette actually found Scrintal super helpful for that initial stage. You know, mapping out her ideas and getting a bird's eye view of everything.
Interesting. So it sounds like that visual organization Scrintal talks about really does have its merits, at least for some tasks.
Totally. But wait, there's a plot twist.
Oh, plot twist. I do love a good plot twist.
While Annette loved Scrintal for the brainstorming and structuring phase, she actually prefers using Obsidian for the actual writing part of her Zettelkasten.
So 2 different tools for 2 different jobs. Interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that.
It's like Scrintal is the architect who designs this amazing building, but then you still need a contractor to actually come in and build it.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So Scrintal for the big picture, the visual overview, and then Obsidian for the nitty-gritty of fleshing things out.
Exactly. And Annette mentioned a couple of other Scrintal quirks that weren't her favorite, like not being able to connect notes directly on the canvas. Kind of interrupts the flow, you know?
I can see how that would be frustrating. You're in the zone, making connections, and then boom, roadblock.
Right. And those super straight linking lines between notes, apparently not aesthetically pleasing for her either.
Aesthetics do matter. Nobody wants to feel like they're working in a digital dungeon.
Exactly. So where does this leave us? We've got Redditors worried about data jail, Shu Omi wishing for more features, and now Annette rocking a 2-tool system.
It seems like Scrintal has the potential to be amazing for visual thinkers, especially folks who love mind mapping and need to wrangle complex projects.
And let's not forget about that little export issue we talked about. That still makes me a little uneasy.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. It's a good reminder that we should be mindful of where our data lives.
For sure. It's like you wouldn't want to build your dream house on rented land, right?
Exactly. It's about having that freedom and flexibility.
Yes, freedom and flexibility. Okay, so for someone who's listening to all of this, maybe trying to decide if Scrintal is right for them, what would you say are the key things to consider?
Well, I'd say if you're someone who really connects with visual thinking, if you love mind maps and that kind of thing, then Scrintal is definitely worth checking out, especially if you're working on complex projects. Scrintal might be just the ticket.
Yep.
But those missing features, particularly the backlinks and the lack of Readwise integration, those are pretty big deals for some people.
Right, like if those aha moments are what really get you going, Scrintal might not be giving you the full experience.
Exactly. And of course, there's that whole data portability question.
Right, right. Okay, so maybe not a perfect score for Scrintal just yet, but hey, it's been really interesting exploring all this, wouldn't you say? We started with one question about Scrintal and ended up talking about everything from visual thinking to, well, my weird pen obsession.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
One idea leads to another, and before you know it, you've gone down a rabbit hole of knowledge. But that's the fun part, isn't it?
Totally. So I guess the takeaway for our listeners today is that there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to Zettelkasten tools.
What matters most is finding what works best for you, your workflow, your preferences.
And hey, if you find a magical tool that combines the best of Scrintal A&D Obsidian with perfect backlinks and Readwise integration, be a friend and let us know. Okay.
We're always eager to hear about new tools and approaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Until next time, everyone, happy note-taking.
Happy note-taking.